Today we take a rather unfair look at two 375 Holland Holland rifles. Now on the top is a CZ made in the Czech Republic, and really a working man's gun. The bottom gun box is a full leather case of a Holland Holland, and I bought both of these rifles in 2020, and the CZ was and both of them were not new. They were both used rifles. The CZ I paid $1,500 for at that point in time. It had no scope rings. It was just a gun, but it was very well looked after, and you'll see it still looks almost brand new. The Holland Holland was a little older. It cost $16,000 with all of the little trinkets and stuff that I had to put back in the case to complete the case. So it is really unfair to compare these two guns, one being 10x the retail value of the other, but I think it's interesting to look at these because you know, it's 5 years later. I still have both of these guns, and I am not interested in selling either of them. I enjoy both of them, and really, you know, they share very few commonalities. The first one is obviously caliber. Both are 375 Holland Holland. Both are wood and metal guns. Both are bolt actions, but that really is almost where the comparison and the similarities really stop. So let's look inside the boxes and see what's going on. And we'll start with the CZ. And if we look at the box, it came actually, it wasn't scoped at that point in time, but it had the bolt lived in this little deal here. So there's the bolt, and it had some paperwork with it, and it's interesting. I just want to share with you. So it had a 5-year limited guarantee that came with a gun. It had a pretty nice instruction manual, and it actually came with an electronic regulation target, which actually says that this that's the point of impact. Those were 3 shots fired. The type of weapon was the CZ 550 375 Holland Holland caliber. It was shot with Norma 300 grain bullets. It was at 50 meters was the deal, the target, and it was shot in 2014, and this scale is 1:1. So at 50 meters, that's how it shot. So at least it shows that this rifle was tested before it was shipped, and it was regulated. The open sights were regulated for 300 grain Norma bullets. So that's what was inside the box with the rifle. Now if we take a little bit more careful or more detailed look at the CZ, a couple of things. Firstly, the front sight has a proper sight protector there, very functional. It's open at the top, and you know, that allows for some light to get in there. If we move further back on the barrel, we get to the rear sights, very sturdy V sights, set up for obviously 50 where it was regulated, and then 200, 300 yards, and you know, the typical deal on the action here, where the proof marks are set. There's a 2-digit date right next to it. In this case, it's 14. It validates the regulation target that says this rifle was manufactured, and the regulation target shot in 2014. You know, these guys from CZ had taken some flack about stocks cracking, so there's double cross bolts on this specific firearm. And then, you know, a couple of other typical things on CZ, the bolt handle with the hole in it. And then if we close that bolt, you know, the safety on safe at the back, ready to fire in the front. If we look at the rifle from the other side, you know, it has the caliber markings, caliber 375 Holland Holland, made in the Czech Republic, with the serial number on it. And this was part of the CZ 550 Safari Classics deal that they offered in a couple of African calibers. You know, really fit for African hunting, and it says CZ USA, the Kansas City marks there, because they ran these rifles out of Kansas City. But I also want to show you that this rifle, you know, it had some really, it comes with a cheek piece and a very decent rubber, black rubber pad, recoil pad. I love darker wood, so this rifle just really appeals to me. And typical with CZ, it had the single set trigger, so you can take this trigger, you move it to the front. Now that trigger is set. If you just touch it, it'll go. And I don't ever really use that on a dangerous game rifle, but it is something if you need to shoot crocodile or something and you need some precision shooting, maybe that'll, you know, that'll work. But I don't ever use it. But yeah, I mean, the only thing I need to take responsibility for is this atrocious scope mounting system that this rifle carries, and that's my fault. I bought a Schmidt & Benner, the 1-inch Summit series scope, and it has very little vertical travel, this scope, so it's not the gun's fault, it's the scope's fault. And I had to put in this Picatinny rail that has 20 MOA lift at the back to give me more travel to just get this thing to be sighted in. So it looks a little unsightly, but it's got nothing to do with the rifle. It's my own fault. Something which is really nice about these CZ rifles is the action is pre-cut, so you just, you know, it slides in there and you can tighten it, and then it has this little cutout in the back that prevents your scope mount from moving back and forward. So it's a nice little feature of the CZ. And we'll shoot this rifle in a little bit. You'll see that this rifle doesn't have the front sling attachment. Is actually on the wood, it's not on the barrel. The barrel is completely clear, and the other one is, you know, on the back, as would be expected. Now, if we turn our attention to the Holland Holland rifle, Holland Holland has this gig on their website where you can find the serial number of a rifle and see when it was made. So I've got this open here. So if we look at magazine rifles, this rifle's serial number is 3606. So if we find a 3606 is going to fall in this batch here. So this rifle was made somewhere between 1965 and 1974. So a little bit older rifle than the CZ, but nevertheless I think a really nice rifle. You'll see that once we start looking at opening this gun box, it starts explaining some of the different pricing. So firstly, if we just look at the little note there, it carries the rifle serial number 3606. You'll see that this rifle was actually shot and regulated for a 270 grain bullet. The rifle came from the 13 Bruton Street address in London, full length case. And yes, you know, as we would expect from Holland Holland, a couple of really nice features. So firstly, this rifle carries a leather recoil pad, so it's a leather covered recoil pad. It has a little brass oval in there for folks that want to put their name and last name on the gun. We'll go into detail on the gun in just a while, but you know, inside this case there is a proper Holland Holland made sling, some cleaning equipment, and then you know, obviously space for an older scope. So that was one of the problems with these putting a newer scope on an older rifle, is the scope never fits the gun box, but that's not a big issue. So this is a Swarovski 3-10 by 42 habit, which I've put on there. And this is one of the reasons for the difference in price. So this is Holland Holland style detachable mounts. There are several gun manufacturers that use them today. These side mounts, they can be put on a Wesley. You can request them at Wesley and Rigby. They north of 3,000 pounds a pair to set them up on a gun and get them to work properly. But very good, very sturdy, but pretty expensive. So let's unpack the gun and have a quick look at the rifle and see kind of what similarities it has and what's different to it and the CZ. We'll kind of do the same and just start at the front of the rifle and kind of work our way backwards and kind of see how these deals work. So firstly, if we look at the front end of the Holland Holland, it has this little hood that covers the front sight, and it actually has a little button that you can press and fold it and it'll disappear and you have better visibility, but it protects it really well, clicks into position and stays there. The rifle also differs from the CZ in the sense that it actually carries the front sling swivel on a barrel band, and it actually has a complete swivel set that matches that sling that's in the case. The rear sights are typical Holland Holland. You have one standing blade, and the folding blade is actually on the opposite side to most manufacturers. It's on the bolted side. Then you know, if we move a little back, see the cross bolt there. And then you know, one of the big advantages of having this sight set up with a scope is you have an immense amount of space here to either feed rounds in there or to eject the round when it comes out. Now, one thing that you'll see on this rifle is, you know, the wood is of a little bit of a different quality grade, and again, that's just part of that price differential from Holland Holland. We'll flip that gun over, but before we do that, I just want to show you something. I'll show you on the other side, but this rifle was built on an original Oberndorf Mauser action. Now, typical of original Oberndorf Mauser actions, they have flag safety which you flip up, but you can see very clearly the scope's in the way there. And on all of the rifles where scope mounts were put on, Holland Holland devised this thumb safety that at the back it's on safe. If you move it to the front, it's on fire. So a very handy little deal there, because you cannot make this gun safe, or this rifle safe, with that flag safety from the original Mauser action. So having something which is, you know, if you hold this rifle, your thumb is going to be really close. It's a very easy setup to handle. Very, very nice, very simple. Now, one thing that this rifle also has, which is a little useful, is it has a little trap door underneath the grip cap, and there's a spare front sight in there. So if something would go wrong and you run out of some front sight due to damage, the rifle has a spare one. This rifle also is a little different in the sense that it's actually a takedown rifle, and I'll show you how that works in just a second. Let's flip it over. Now, looking at the rifle from the opposite side, I just want to show you a couple of things. This was a thumb cut original Oberndorf Mauser action. There's actually a little bit of the Oberndorf lettering left over there. This is where that side mounted scope mount goes into. This is the locking lever that you just push it down, and it actually clicks in place there. And that there is the original Mauser action serial number. This was a single square bridge at the back, round in the front. And you can see that this rifle, there's the proof marks for the 270 grain bullet. Now, as I said, this rifle is a takedown rifle, so what that means is you can split it in two by undoing a single screw. So you just take a quarter, this screw here, you just push the quarter in there and you undo it. And once you undo that screw, the whole rifle comes apart. Just pull that out. And there you go. We've got it in two pieces. So the middle piece will contain bolt, trigger, everything, and the wooden piece will have your magazine box, the magazine spring, and all of the trigger guard and magazine release lever right there, and everything just fits snugly in there. The way it fits together is you just slide the trigger in first, and it's got this little shoe at the back that'll slip into a steel portion back there, and then it just clips back into position. Take that screw and you tighten it again with your quarter, and it'll go lie flat once you've got it tightened up. And there you go, gun's put back together again. Now one thing with this rifle, or this one thing with this rifle is the magazine box, trigger guard, all of this is aluminum, and it was made to make the gun a little lighter. So this gun weighs about ½ a pound less than the CZ. Makes it an absolute pleasure to carry, and we'll shoot both of them, and you can have a look at and judge yourself recoil and how they perform. I'll fire 3 shots from each rifle off the shooting sticks, and I will show you 2 of those shots in video so that you can have a look at the recoil. For me, it's very simple. If a rifle doesn't really shoot well off the sticks, it's really of no use to me. That's how I hunt. That's how I need that rifle to perform. And first up will be the CZ. Well, there we have 3 shots off the sticks at 100 yards with the CZ. And I guess if I did a better job staying steady on the sticks, they might have looked even better. But needless to say, at 100 yards hunting a buffalo, this would do just fine. Next up is the Holland Holland in 375 Holland Holland, and I did omit to mention something. The barrel length on these 2 rifles are slightly different. The CZ actually has a 24.5-inch barrel, where the Holland Holland has a 24-inch barrel. So you're going to lose maybe 50 to 100 feet a second on the same ammunition shooting it from the Holland Holland compared to the CZ, but I don't think that's really a big deal. Well, and there we have the 375 Holland Holland from Holland and Holland. And again, I think going hunting with a rifle that shoots like that off the sticks is just fine. In conclusion, I would like to just make two comments. I think firstly, it is very clear from reviewing two very different rifles today and shooting both of them after they've been set up well. I think it's clear that you don't need a super expensive rifle to go to Africa and have a joyful hunt. However, my second comment is that a fine British rifle is fine for a reason.